After China and the U.S. resume trade talks, negotiations are now stuck in limbo, as some believe, with U.S. President Donald Trump again threatening to impose more tariffs. On Tuesday, China warned new tariffs would derail progress towards reaching a deal. The brewing trade war has been cast as a clash between a protectionist unilateral approach and a multilateral system that works for everyone, which China has long advocated. In other words, will it be the law of the jungle, where the strong pounce on the others, or a rules-based order where everyone gets a fair shake, at least in their eyes? That's what I asked Dr. Jerry Muller, a professor of history at the Catholic University of America. Here is his perspective. Now, with the geopolitics and the potential geopolitical conflicts, people worried from anywhere in the world whether there's likely to be a Cold War. What do you think?
Well, it's not a matter of purely capitalist societies versus communist societies, socialist societies, as was the case with the Soviet Union during the Cold War. The United States traditionally has been a champion of free trade within the country and free trade between countries, above all since the Second World War. But now, in the case of China, it's faced with a new kind of system. So I'm worried about, I think the exchange, the greater involvement in recent decades of China in the world capitalist economy and in trading with the United States has had a lot of benefits for both countries. Also, the exchange of people, the exchange of students and so on, has had a lot of benefits. And I'm concerned that there could be a diminution of each of those. But a good deal of it depends on American leadership, but a good deal of it depends on Chinese leadership too.
I have to point out that it's not the tension between the United States and China that's the problem right now, but also the tension between the United States and the European Union, between the United States and Japan, between the United States and South Korea, between the United States and Vietnam, between the United States and also some of the other countries as well.
Mm-hmm. Right. So we have a president in the United States who is skeptical of a lot of the premises of free trade. To a considerable degree.
Is the president making all the decisions for the United States of America?
In one way or another, he does. He chooses who his negotiators are going to be, his cabinet is going to be, and so on. So there are two things to be said about it. Let me say both. On the one hand, he tends to underrate the value of free trade. On the other hand, there are real issues that have bothered American observers of international economic relations, above all in regard to China, of the kinds that I've already expressed, that are felt well beyond President Trump. So one can be skeptical of his mindset and of his leadership style, and I am indeed skeptical of both of those, and still recognize that he has called attention to some real, tangible issues of tension between the United States and China in regard to economic issues.
One of the issues people are worried about is whether the trade negotiations have become a negotiation or a talk of whether you become us or you're bad. And also the World Trade Organization discussion and reform, whether it will become, whether it is our rules or we quit, there's no rules. What do you make of this debate? Does capitalism give the space of diversity of other societies to exist? Or capitalism in nature only allows a self to flourish? Whether it's doing a good job or not, that's another question. and no other possibilities, Professor?
Capitalism is not one thing, right? There are various societies, including various primarily capitalist societies, have different styles of capitalism in the present, and certainly have had different styles of capitalism in the past. So it isn't capitalism in itself that is determinative.
So in other words, you are saying diversity even exists within capitalism societies themselves?
Of course it does, yes. It's part of the nature of capitalism, as its most astute observers have pointed out, including Karl Marx, but also Joseph Schumpeter, that capitalism is a dynamic process. It changes over time. And with those changes come relative winners and relative losers, because it's based on innovation. And innovation, technological innovation, organizational innovation, innovation means that some of the older ways of producing things are no longer economical. And that means that some people's way of life and way of earning a living becomes less valuable in the marketplace, or doesn't have any value at all in the marketplace. And one of the things, of course, that we've seen in recent decades is that partly because of technological changes, but also because of the globalization of investment and labor, that is to say, the outsourcing from the point of view of the United States of a lot of manufacturing to China, that has had some tremendous advantages for American consumers. It's also meant that there are substantial parts of the American sort of industrial manufacturing working class that have been left behind. Now, sometimes they've been left behind because of, as I say, this globalization of trade. More often, it's because of technology. It's easier to point to trade as the source than technology. But that's part of the dynamism of capitalism, and the challenge of democratic capitalist societies is to try to alleviate the disadvantages while maintaining the advantages. So alleviating disadvantages in part by trying to re-educate people for other skills, right. Also by partly by providing income support and so on. And it's an ongoing challenge, but it's not insurmountable.
Yeah.